The slamming door shook the walls of the luxurious penthouse in the heart of Manhattan. Leonardo Thompson, the gay millionaire, pointed his finger at the door, his face red with fury, as he yelled at the man who had become so important to his life. "You are fired, Kai. Get out now, and do not come back," he shouted, his voice echoing through the sun-filled room. The 7-year-old Ethan started crying, holding onto Kai's leg, not understanding why this was happening. Kai stood there, his suitcase already packed, his heart breaking, but he said nothing, just nodded and walked out the door, leaving behind the only place that had felt like home in years. Leonardo turned away, breathing hard, his hands shaking as he tried to convince himself he had done the right thing, but the emptiness in the room already felt wrong. 6 months earlier, Leonardo had been desperate. His finance empire demanded every hour, yet his son Ethan struggled with anxiety after losing his other father in a car accident 2 years before. Nannies came and went, none connecting with a quiet boy who hid behind books and avoided eye contact. Then Kai arrived for the interview, 35 years old, with steady hazel eyes and a calm smile that immediately drew Ethan out of his shell. Kai talked about his experience working with kids who had lost parents and showed genuine patience when Ethan asked about dinosaurs for the 10th time. Leonardo hired him on the spot, relieved to have someone reliable in the home. The first weeks were professional. Kai woke Ethan for school, prepared healthy meals, and helped with homework while Leonardo worked late in his downtown office. But small moments built something deeper. One evening, Leonardo came home early and found Kai and Ethan building a Lego city on the living room floor, laughing as the boy explained his grand design. Leonardo watched from the doorway, a rare smile crossing his face. He joined them for a few minutes, and for the first time in months, the penthouse felt warm, not just expensive. Kai never pushed, never asked about Leonardo's personal life, but listened when Leonardo mentioned the pressure from his conservative Texas family, who still sent emails urging him to find a wife for appearances. As weeks passed, Kai became part of the routine. He took Ethan to Central Park for soccer on weekends, teaching the boy to kick without fear. Leonardo started coming home earlier just to see the two of them together. One night after Ethan was asleep, they sat on the balcony overlooking the city lights. Kai shared how he had grown up in a small town where being gay meant hiding, and how he had moved to New York to build a life on his own terms. Leonardo opened up about the custody battle with his late partner's family, who questioned a gay man raising a child alone. The conversation felt easy, natural, and for a moment Leonardo felt seen in a way no business associate or casual date had ever made him feel. He pushed the feeling down, reminding himself that vulnerability had cost him before. Still, the bond grew, and Ethan began sleeping through the night without nightmares, something the therapist credited to Kai's steady presence. By month 3, the changes in Ethan were undeniable. The boy who once refused to speak in class now raised his hand and invited friends over. At school pickup, teachers praised Kai's influence, noting how Ethan talked about their weekend adventures with pride. Leonardo felt grateful, but also unsettled. He had always kept his personal life separate from work and family, but Kai blurred those lines in the best way. One Saturday, they all went to the zoo, Ethan between them, holding both ants. Passers-by smiled, assuming they were a family, and Leonardo did not correct them. Later at dinner, Kai cooked pasta from a family recipe he said came from his grandmother. They laughed over stories of childhood mishaps, and Leonardo realized he had not laughed like that in years. Yet shadows lingered. Leonardo's family called weekly, pressing him about the image of a single gay father in the finance world. His father, a retired oil executive, warned that clients might pull out if they saw weakness. Leonardo defended himself, but the words stung, especially when his sister sent photos of her straight married life with kids. Kai noticed the tension and offered quiet support without prying. One evening after a tough board meeting, Leonardo came home exhausted. Kai had prepared a simple meal and sat with him while Ethan played nearby. They talked about identity, how society still made gay men prove their worth twice over. Kai spoke softly about his own struggles with acceptance and how helping kids like Ethan gave him purpose. Leonardo felt the pull stronger now, a warmth that went beyond gratitude, but he reminded himself of his ex who had used his money and left when things got real. Trust was a risk he could not afford again. The friendship deepened during quiet evenings. Kai helped Leonardo organize charity events for LGBTQ youth centers, something Leonardo supported quietly to avoid media scrutiny. They worked side by side on plans, and Leonardo found himself looking forward to those hours. Ethan thrived, calling Kai his best friend and asking when they could all go camping. Leonardo agreed to a weekend trip upstate where they roasted marshmallows under the stars. Around the fire, Kai told stories of his travels before New York, and Leonardo shared dreams of slowing down one day to be more present for Ethan. The night felt perfect, the kind of family moment Leonardo had given up hoping for. Back in the city, the routine continued, but the air between the two men carried unspoken possibility. Leonardo caught himself watching Kai with Ethan in the gentle way he tied shoelaces or explained math, and wondered what it would be like to lean into that warmth instead of pulling away. Business pressures mounted as a major merger deal threatened to fall apart. Leonardo's competitors whispered about his personal life, using it to question his stability. He worked longer hours, snapping at assistants, and coming home irritable. Kai noticed but kept things light for Ethan, cooking favorite meals and helping with school projects. One afternoon, Kai took Ethan to a museum exhibit on space while Leonardo attended a tense meeting. When they returned, Ethan bubbled with excitement, showing drawings of rockets. Leonardo forced a smile, but inside the stress boiled. That evening, a call from his father reminded him of family expectations and how a male nanny might look odd to investors. The misunderstanding started small. Kai received a visit from an old college friend, a man named Marcus, who stopped by to drop off books for Ethan. They hugged briefly in the foyer, laughing about old times. The housekeeper saw it and mentioned it casually to Leonardo later that day, adding her own spin that Kai seemed close to visitors. Leonardo, already on edge from the merger, heard only the part that confirmed his fears. He remembered his ex introducing strangers into their home and the betrayal that followed. That night he confronted Kai in the kitchen, his voice low to avoid waking Ethan. Who was that man and why was he here? Leonardo demanded. Kai explained calmly it was just a friend, but Leonardo cut him off, accusing him of bringing outsiders into their private life and distracting from duties. The argument escalated, with Leonardo projecting his own insecurities, calling Kai too involved, too familiar. Kai tried to reason, but Leonardo shut down, refusing to listen, the rage fueled by exhaustion and old wounds. The next morning, the tension hung heavy. Ethan sensed it sticking close to Kai during breakfast. Leonardo left for work without a word, but the seed of doubt grew. In his office, he replayed the scene, wondering if Kai had hidden motives, perhaps seeking more than a paycheck. He ignored the voice reminding him how much Kai had helped Ethan and focused on self-protection. By afternoon, the merger hit another snag, and Leonardo snapped at his team. Driving home, he decided enough was enough. The penthouse felt like a battlefield now, and he needed control back. Leonardo burst through the door that evening, his tie loosened and eyes hard. Kai was helping Ethan with homework at the dining table. Without greeting, he ordered Ethan to his room, then turned to Kai. We need to talk. His voice was ice. Kai stood slowly, sensing the storm. Leonardo launched in, accusing Kai of crossing boundaries, of using the job to insert himself into the family, and of the hug with Marcus as proof of distraction. You think I don't see it? Leonardo said, his words sharp. People like you always want more. The words hung ugly, revealing the prejudice Leonardo had fought in others, but now turned inward from fear. Kai stood stunned, his face pale. I have only ever tried to help, he said quietly. But Leonardo was beyond listening. The stress the family calls the merger failure, all crashing together. Pack your things and leave by morning, he ordered. You are fired, effective immediately. Kai did not argue. He nodded once, his shoulders straight, and began collecting his few personal items. Ethan heard from the hallway and ran out crying, clinging to Kai. Leonardo pulled the boy away gently, but firmly, telling him it was for the best. The night passed in silence, Kai sleeping on the couch for the last time. In the morning, he left before dawn, leaving a note for Ethan with a drawing of their park adventures. Leonardo found it and crumpled it, his chest tight, but he told himself it was necessary. The penthouse felt colder already. He called an agency for a replacement nanny, but the interviews that day felt wrong, each candidate lacking Kai's quiet strength. Ethan refused breakfast and school that day, hiding in his room. Leonardo worked from home, trying to focus, but the emptiness gnawed at him. By evening, he regretted the harshness, but pride kept him from calling. He convinced himself Kai would be fine and Ethan would adjust. Yet as he tucked his son in alone, the boy's tears broke something inside. The decision that seemed right in anger now felt like a crack in the foundation he had built so carefully. The days after the firing blurred into misery. Ethan stopped eating properly, his anxiety returning full force. He refused school, claiming stomach aches, and spent hours staring at the door as if waiting for Kai to return. Leonardo tried everything: new toys, extra screen time, even taking a day off to take him to the zoo, but the boy only asked why Kai left. Teachers called, concerned about the regression. Leonardo hired a temporary nanny, but she lasted 2 days before Ethan locked himself in his room. The penthouse echoed with silence where laughter once filled it. At work, the merger collapsed, completely costing millions, and investors questioned Leonardo's focus. His family called again, sensing weakness and suggesting he send Ethan to boarding school away from city influences. Alone at night, Leonardo replayed the firing, his words haunting him. He had not given Kai a chance to explain, and the look in Kai's eyes stayed with him. Guilt crept in, but he pushed it down by throwing himself into damage control at the office. Yet every time he passed the park or heard a child laugh, the regret sharpened. He started searching online for Kai, but found only basic profiles, nothing personal. One evening, he found the dinosaur drawing Ethan had made for Kai, and the boy's quiet sobs from the bedroom broke him. Leonardo sat on the floor outside the door, promising things would improve, but he no longer believed it himself. Friends reached out noticing the change, but he brushed them off, too proud to admit the mistake. The internal conflict raged. Leonardo, the successful millionaire, who controlled billions, now unable to fix his own home. He began questioning his anger, where it came from: the fear of loss, the family pressure, the identity he had fought to own yet still hid in boardrooms. The consequences of that one moment grew heavier each day, and for the first time Leonardo wondered if control was worth the cost of connection. 2 weeks passed and Ethan grew worse, missing Kai so deeply he stopped speaking much. The pediatrician recommended therapy, and during a session the boy revealed how safe he felt with Kai. Leonardo sat in the waiting room, the words hitting hard. Back home, he finally opened the box of old papers from his late partner's things, searching for anything to distract. Among letters, he found hospital records from the final months. A name jumped out: Kieran Rossi, the nurse who had cared for his partner with such compassion, promising to watch over the family. Leonardo froze. He dug deeper, pulling up old photos, and there was Kai, younger, with different hair, but the eyes, the smile, unmistakable. Kieran had changed his name after leaving nursing to escape painful memories, and taken the nanny job anonymously to fulfill that promise without burdening Leonardo with the past. The revelation crashed over him. Kai had sacrificed his career in medicine, known for his work with grieving families, to become a simple nanny. He had recognized Leonardo from news articles and chosen help quietly, even as feelings grew. Leonardo sat among the scattered papers, his hands shaking. All the times Kai had stayed late, comforted Ethan, or listened to Leonardo's struggles now made sense. The anger that led to the firing had been misplaced fear, and now the truth showed how deeply he had hurt someone who only wanted to heal. Regret flooded in, sharp and unrelenting. He tried calling the number, but it was disconnected. Searching online, he found Kai volunteering at an LGBTQ youth center in Brooklyn. The pieces fit: Kai had lived his own journey of identity crisis after family rejection and found purpose in helping others. Leonardo stared at the screen, realizing the man he fired was not just a nanny, but the quiet hero who had kept his family together longer than anyone knew. The weight of the mistake pressed down, and he knew he had to act before it was too late. Leonardo drove to Brooklyn the next day, his heart pounding. The youth center was bright and busy, full of teenagers laughing over games. He asked for Kai and waited in the lobby, nerves twisting. When Kai appeared, his expression guarded, but Leonardo stood speechless. "I know who you are," he said finally. "Kieran. The hospital records, the promise." Kai nodded slowly, inviting him to a quiet room. They sat under fluorescent lights, and the story unfolded. Kai explained how he cared for Leonardo's partner in those final weeks, hearing stories of the family left behind. After changing his name to start fresh, he saw Leonardo struggling in the media and took the job to honor the promise, and because he had never stopped caring from their brief college connection years earlier before life pulled them apart. He hid the truth to avoid reopening wounds, but the bond with Ethan and Leonardo grew real. Leonardo listened, tears forming as Kai described his own sacrifices, leaving a promising medical path to live humbly and face daily prejudice as a gay man in service roles. The firing hurt, but Kai had understood the fear behind it. Leonardo poured out his regrets, the family pressure, the business stress, the way anger masked vulnerability. They talked for hours about identity, how both had fought to be authentic yet still carried scars from society and loved ones. Kai shared moments of doubt, wondering if he belonged in their world, and Leonardo admitted his growth was incomplete until this loss. The conversation was raw, honest, healing old cracks. By the end, Leonardo asked for a chance to make it right, not just for Ethan, but for them. Kai did not promise, but agreed to meet again. Driving home, Leonardo felt lighter, the internal crisis resolving into clarity. He confronted his family that night over video call, standing firm about his life, his choices, and the man who had shown him true strength. The conversation was tense, but he ended it with pride in his identity, no longer hiding. The search for redemption had begun, and for the first time, hope replaced the regret. Ethan ran to Kai the moment he stepped through the penthouse door, his small arms wrapping tight. Leonardo watched from the kitchen, the scene filling the space with warmth again. They spent the afternoon together playing games, talking, and rebuilding the trust broken by one angry night. Leonardo cooked dinner, this time a simple meal, and they sat as a family, Ethan chattering about school and future park trips. Later, after the boy slept, Leonardo and Kai sat in a balcony, the city lights sparkling below. Leonardo apologized, fully owning the fear, the words, the pain caused. Kai accepted, explaining that the journey had taught him his worth beyond any job. They spoke of the future, slowly building something new, based on honesty, not secrets. Leonardo committed to more presence, less work, and openness with his family, who had begun to soften after his stand. Kai shared his dreams of returning to advocacy work with Leonardo's support, and together they envisioned a life where both men grew stronger side by side. The months that followed brought real change. Leonardo attended school events openly with Kai by his side. They faced small societal whispers but met them with unity. Ethan bloomed confident and secure. The two men navigated their feelings with patience, turning past pain into deeper connection. Leonardo learned that true strength came from vulnerability, and Kai found a family he had longed for. Their story became one of forgiveness, growth, and the power of second chances in a world that still tested gay men daily. Through every choice and consequence, they emerged more whole. True or false, a single moment of unchecked anger can destroy the possibility of genuine love and family forever.